Good afternoon, folks. We're just about a minute out from starting. Just want to give folks a chance to get on board and we'll get started. I just want to make sure everyone can see my screen. There's a chat or question box that you can send me a message in to let me know if you can't see a screen. It should say, "Welcome to the ARC webinar series," if you'd be so kind. Okay, we're going to get started. My name is Kim Kennard. I'm the Director of Employee Benefits for ARC Benefit Solutions. I work with a lot of the client advisors for our customers, and today's webinar series is about the retirement crisis and employer-pooled 401k plans. This particular presenter, his name is Dale Essenmacher. He is the Regional Vice President for Newport Retirement Services. They sponsor a or SOCA, if any of you are members of the SOCA MIWA with Anthem, they sponsor a pooled employer plan. And even if you don't have their medical plan, you can purchase something like this, and he's going to talk about that in more detail. But we wanted to have a series of webinars for topics of interest. You know, it's all of us are having a lot more struggle getting employees in, keeping them, competing with larger businesses, and this is a great product. We were very impressed with Dale's presentation, and if you're interested in learning more, you just let your ARC client advisor know and they'll connect you for a more personalized meeting and quote from them for their services. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. Well, I have a couple of housekeeping notes first before I get ahead of myself here. Let's advance. If you have a question during the presentation, there is a questions box, or you can put it in the chat. Send it to me. I'll be checking that box periodically during the presentation and asking Dale to answer those questions. Otherwise, we'll answer them at the end. This is me. Sorry, I gave myself a preview. And then we're also having a compliance webinar next month from 2 to 3 on a Thursday, July 21st. It'll be me. I'm going to answer all your burning questions about compliance. I know how exciting that is for all of you. And then the following month, we'll have one on workers' compensation in Ohio. If you're an Ohio-based employer, there's several pools available, and we're going to present one with Sedgwick that you may or may not be interested in looking at. It's not a lot of work for you. It's a form you fill out. They pull the data from the state, and if their pool works out for you, then they'll get you a quote and talk to you about that. So that's another presentation you might be interested in. We're also sending out a monthly newsletter. If you did not get the newsletter, it went out about 2 days ago. Just let us know, let your client advisor know. They'll make sure that you get on the list. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Dale. Just bear with me. I'm going to make him the presenter. You ready to go, Dale?
I am. Can everybody see my screen?
I can see it.
Perfect. Thank you. And thanks for the introduction. I appreciate it and the opportunity to talk to everybody today. So we're going to go over something that's relatively new in the marketplace. It's a 401k plan, but a different type of 401k plan called a pooled employer plan. It's really the modern solution to 401k plans. There's been almost a decade-long search for how do we help small employers either start 401ks or offer a high-level 401k that Fortune 500 companies offer, yet I'm a small company. So how do my participants take advantage of that? And what the government has come up with is this pooled employer plan. We're going to talk a lot about that in a second. So as a means of an agenda today, I'm going to talk a little bit about today's reality when it comes to retirement plans. There's certainly things that are going on that everybody needs to be aware of, and certainly a hot topic for retirement plans. I'm going to talk a little bit about the legislative update from a federal level. but more importantly from the state of Ohio level, because there's some interesting things that are happening in Columbus right now that could change the retirement plan industry for forever, really. We'll talk a little bit about who Newport is, where we fit in all of this, very brief on that. And then I'm going to introduce what is the pooled employer plan, or we refer to in our industry as the PEPs, and then some advantages of why you would want to join or be an adopting employer into this PEP. So before I get started, let me introduce myself. So Dale Essenmacher at Newport. I've been at Newport for a little over 23 years. Pretty much 2 jobs in my career. One was a financial advisor, and then the other position is at Newport in the retirement services sector. I'm cover the Midwest for Newport. Like I said, been there 23 years and really have seen everything in the growth of the retirement 401k space, all the way from balanced forward plans from those days all the way up to where we are today, which is this modern solution. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in retirement right now. And this is the reality of it. It's not numbers we're trying to make up, it's the truth. 52% of private sector workers do not have access to a retirement plan. That's an amazing statistic. So more than half the people that are working in the private sector in our country do not have access to any type of plan to save. 90% of small businesses, which is about almost 6 million small businesses, do not offer a retirement plan. Now that includes single employers. So if you really want to get technical and look at, let's say, companies with 5 or more employees, there's 650,000 businesses that have 5 or more employees that do not offer a retirement plan. And if you look at the attitude of what people think, 71% of Americans do not believe that Social Security is going to be available when they retire, which is the truth, right? I mean, it will be available, but it will not be able to be the complete income replacement for once you retire. Most people understand now that you do have to have some type of retirement, and you cannot count on just Social Security and living off of that. And then some other statistics at the bottom, 45% of participants or employees are going to outlive their savings, and 41% have taken no steps to start saving. The one thing that's probably the most interesting statistic I've seen in my lifetime is the average American spends more time planning their vacations on an annual basis than they do thinking about their retirement when it comes to how much they're saving. So if you think about that, and probably is very true, right? Most people spend a lot of money planning their vacations, but they don't spend a lot of time thinking about how they're going to save for retirement. So what we're going to be talking about is the SOCA pooled employer plan. We did a survey. So one of the divisions at Newport is a compensation consulting division. They go out and span the country in about 40,000 clients and ask them a lot of information about retirement. And what the #1 feature employees value most at our employers that we polled was the matching contribution and their eligibility. So it's pretty interesting that there are employees out there that want to save for retirement, but they're really interested in how much their employer is going to match if they do save for retirement. 83% of those employers do actually match. 8 out of 10 employers also offer a financial wellness program, right? So beyond just the 401k plan, it goes beyond that and offering a wellness program, which comes as a part of our 401k offering. And I'm going to send these slides at the end, and you can read a little bit more on some of this information, but there's a lot of important features to think about when you think about what the American worker wants from their employer when it comes to the retirement plan. So where are we at? So remember I talked about a couple slides ago that 52% of small businesses do not offer a retirement plan. What it works out to, or sorry, 52% of people do not have a retirement plan in their workplace. What it works out to be is about 40 million people that work for companies with less than 100 employees don't have access. If you look at everybody, it's 52 million, but only 40 million work for companies on the small business side, the less than 100. But why do small businesses not offer a retirement plan? Again, one of the surveys that we've done is to people that do not offer a retirement plan, and why do you not? And #1, they said, is cost to operate the plan. They don't understand, thus they don't want to take on the fiduciary responsibility of offering a plan. Last thing they want is the Department of Labor looking at their business more than they already are. Another one, which is a big one in today's environment, is just lack of resources to run the plan. We're operating on a shoestring budget right now in the economy, right? You have a lot of people we had the COVID crisis, obviously, we had the remote working, now you have the labor shortage, right? There's less and less people that are working in the HR department to handle running a retirement plan. And really what it boils down to is small businesses' number one focus is growing their revenues and profits, especially in today's environment. You have inflation, you have labor shortages, you have supply chain issues, everything else to worry about. The last thing you want to worry about is offering a retirement plan. But I would argue that the retirement plan is going to help solve some of these issues, particularly the labor shortage issues that is going on right now in the economy. One of the things that you probably don't know is what's going on in Columbus right now. So a little while back, the government passed Secure Act. That was back in December of 2019. And for those that have a retirement plan, you know all about the Secure Act. There's a lot of things you had to do from Secure Act to be compliant with Department of Labor requirements for running a retirement plan. But since Secure Act, the federal government has been kicking around the idea of offering a retirement plan a mandatory requirement for all businesses with more than 5 employees. So don't kill the messenger here. Nobody really wants to hear the word mandate, but this is becoming a major focus point for Washington. So what they couldn't agree upon is all the parameters of this. So what happened is they kicked it down to the state level. And currently there's 12 states that have a mandate that you have to offer a retirement plan. There's 36 other states that have it in legislation, including Ohio. What does that mean? So in Ohio, what they're talking about, and this is imminent, this is going to pass probably in the next 6 to 18 months, you're going to see this as passing. So if you don't offer a retirement plan, you might want to really pay attention at this point. The state of Ohio is going to say that all companies with 5 or more employees are going to have to offer a retirement plan. Now, I say by 2023, that'll probably be 2024 because they haven't voted on this in the first half of this year. So I doubt they're going to make you start a plan in the next 6 months, but it will be a mandatory requirement within the very short period of time. Companies will have a choice between a 401k plan or a state-sponsored plan. Where this is the most impact is those small businesses, of course. There's 650,000 businesses in our country that have less than 5 employees, or more than 5 employees, I'm sorry, that do not offer a retirement plan, of which 20,000 of them reside in Ohio. So if you have 5 or more employees, you are one of the 20,000 companies in Ohio that do not currently offer a retirement plan that will have to offer a retirement plan in the near future. And then again, if you don't offer a retirement plan, you're going to face fines up to $750 per employee per year. So again, don't kill the messenger, but you should know what's going on in Ohio and why this is important and why this pooled employer plan makes a lot of sense sooner rather than later if you don't currently offer a plan. I talked a little bit about you're going to have the choice between offering your own 401k plan or joining the state-sponsored plan. If you look at the left-hand column, here's some of the differences by joining the state-sponsored plan versus the pooled employer plan that I'm going to talk about in a second. The first is how much your participants can contribute. In a state-sponsored plan, it's roughly about $6,000 a year. In a pooled employer plan, each individual can contribute up to $20,500 a year, or almost 4 times higher than what they could contribute to the state-run plan. And if they're over 50 years old, it goes up to $27,000 a year. So the limits to how much you can contribute versus the state-run plan is much, much higher in the arrangement we're going to talk about. Number 2, in the state-sponsored plan, there is no opportunity for the company or the employer to match. Remember, one of the first slides I showed is the number one thing that employees have told us that they want from their retirement plan is an employer match. Well, in the state-run plan, that's not available. In the pooled employer plan, it is very available. Plan flexibility. For example, in a state-run plan, you can't offer loans in that plan. In the pooled employer plan, you can. In the state-sponsored plan, you can't have a discretionary profit-sharing feature if you want. In the pooled employer plan, you can. And there's other flexibilities that we can talk about on a one-on-one if you wish to pursue this a little bit further. And then finally, and we're going to talk about this during the next couple slides, is there's a tax credit available to employers if you do sponsor a 401k plan or start a 401k plan, I'm sorry. If you already have a plan, there's other tax credits that we'll talk about in a second. If you do not have a plan, you want to start a plan, there's employer tax credits that are available to you to start a plan. In the state-run plan, that is not available. So there's a lot of advantages to joining your own 401 or starting your own 401k plan than joining the state-run plan. Again, this isn't mandatory yet. I don't want to, give you a false sense that it is, but it's coming. And I would argue that why wait for that to be mandatory? Number one, you're going to be standing in line with 20,000 other businesses in Ohio and 650,000 businesses in our country trying to start a plan. If you remember the Affordable Care Act, when they mandated healthcare coverage, what happened to websites were crashing, people couldn't get access. That's going to happen to retirement plans. So I would argue to anybody is the earlier the better. You're going to have to do it anyway in the next 12 months if you don't have a plan. And number two, it might help you ease that labor shortage that you're having, right? You'll be able to retain employees and possibly recruit employees if you offer a retirement plan benefit and your competition does not. Let me talk a little bit about Newport, if you would indulge me in about 3 minutes about Newport. So where are we at? Where do we fit? We actually run this pooled employer plan. We're the engine behind it. We're the record keeper, the administrator, which means we're offering the website for participants to log on and make changes to their account. We're doing all the tax filings at the end of the year, et cetera, et cetera. Newport currently has about 158,000 retirement plans that we administer. It represents about $600 billion in assets. We have 45% of the Fortune 500 as clients of ours, including Apple, Walmart, Eli Lilly, AT&T, those types of companies that you've heard of. We also do retirement plans for one people, right? I've done the car wash with one person and started a retirement plan for them. So we go all the way up and down the gamut. We have 40 offices across the country and about 12,000 employees. When you talk about pooled employer plans, this has been something we've been doing for a while, although it used to be referred to as a multiple employer plan. Rules have changed. Multiple employer plan used to have to belong to a PEO or an organization or association that you pay dues to. In today's world, the pooled employer plan is open to everybody. It's a wide open market and anybody can join. We currently have 18 different pooled employer plans in place today with companies like UBS, locked in, and of course, obviously the chambers that belong to the Southern Ohio Chamber Alliance, which is what SOCA stands for. Back to the topic at hand, pooled employer plans. Let's talk a little bit about what they look like. So a pooled employer plan is very similar in the 401k world as the MIWA is to health benefits. What do I mean by that? Some of you belong to the MIWA, some of you don't. So just to reiterate, that's a multiple employer health benefit plan, right? Where multiple companies, over 7,000 now belong to it in Ohio, largest one in the country. Over 7,000 companies belong to this group health plan. So it allows small businesses to have access to a cost-effective health benefit that you can offer to your employees. The pooled employer plan is very similar. It's a bunch of small businesses rolling up into a single 401k plan that is both cost-effective and helps reduce fiduciary responsibility for the employer. The pooled employer plan is a turnkey 401k solution, minimum operational involvement by your HR staff. We'll talk about that in a second. It reduces almost all of your fiduciary responsibility as a business owner. So for those of you out there that currently do offer a plan, you understand all of this, right? You understand how many hours it takes, and it's on the range 50 to 100 hours a year to run a retirement plan. You understand that you're 100% liable as the fiduciary for your plan. Those go away when you're in a pooled employer plan environment. So it's a very nice arrangement, and I'm going to talk a little bit more detail in a second. On the bottom right, I want to bring up again the tax credits. So if you do not offer a retirement plan today, you can get 3 years worth of tax credits to offset up to 50% of your startup costs for the plan. Your administrative fees get cut in half because you can write a half of them off as a tax credit, not a deduction, a credit, which is dollar for dollar for the first 3 years. One tax credit that's available for everybody out there, including if you do offer a plan, is if you do not currently offer an auto enrollment or auto escalation feature in your plan and you want to add that to your plan, you get a $500 tax credit for the next 3 years. So there is something in it for everybody. Let's talk about the pooled employer plan. First and foremost, you can offer it to, like I said, a retirement plan for the first time to their employees. You want to limit your expense, your liability, and your time commitment, focus on your profits and revenues that we talked about earlier. This is the plan for you. Secondly, if you have an existing retirement plan, We can convert that plan over into the pooled employer plan, lower your costs, and delegate the fiduciary responsibility and liability to Newport, the ERISA expert. It's a turnkey solution. What do I mean by that? All services that you're going to want in a retirement plan is provided by Newport. What do I mean by that? Newport's going to be the fiduciary for all services. We'll talk about that in the very next slide. We're also the record keeper and administrator, which means we're offering the website and the participant call center and the mobile app for your participants to look at, make changes to your investments, do some retirement readiness calculations, have access to financial wellness tools. All of that is included. We operate as the directed trustee and the custodian for the plan. And like I said, we offer participant services over the phone. And any adopting employer that joins you will have a relationship manager, a one-on-one contact with somebody at Newport to help you administer the plan on an ongoing basis. And we'll talk more about that. So here are the roles and responsibilities for a pooled employer plan. First of all, you're the client, right? So you're the adopting employer in this type of plan. Financial advisor is Newport in this arrangement. If you have a financial advisor that you currently work with, we can work with any financial advisor. They can sell into this plan. It's no problem whatsoever. So if you do have a plan with an advisor, no problem. They still do the participant education, the enrollments, everything that they're doing today. If not, Newport will serve in that capacity. But more importantly is the bottom bullet points, what Newport does in this whole arrangement. The Newport, as I said before, we're the 402A named fiduciary. I'm going to throw a bunch of numbers at you right now, and really what these are just code and sections of code of ERISA law. So ERISA law is the governing law of all retirement plans. If you look at ERISA's law, 402A is who is the named fiduciary. This is the only, and I want to stress, only arrangement where somebody else can be the named fiduciary for the plan. We're also the 316 administrative fiduciary, which means we're doing the administrative work for the plan. We're the 338 investment fiduciary, which means we're picking the investment lineup for the plan that your participants can choose from. The investment lineup includes Vanguard funds, Fidelity funds, American funds. So companies that everybody's going to know are the types of companies you're going to be able to invest in. And like I said, we're the trustee, custodian, record keeper, administrator. I like this slide to really kind of illustrate the work involved for you as an adopting employer that compares if you had your own standalone 401k plan versus what you have to do in a pooled employer plan. So the far right column is all the check marks is what you have to do as an employer if you sponsor a 401k plan, okay, which is pretty much everything. There's a lot there. If you join the pooled employer plan, you're one column over from the left under the adopting employer. After the conversion, really the first 5 check marks go away. If you join a pooled employer plan, the only things you're going to be responsible for on a go-forward basis is to upload a payroll file to us. And if you have a payroll vendor that we integrate with, you don't even have to do that. But let's say you don't, and you do payroll in-house, you have to upload a payroll contribution file to us every couple weeks. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes. And at the end of the year, we're going to come back to you and ask you questions to verify those deposits, as well as if there's been any ownership changes. It takes about another 10 minutes. So every couple of weeks, 5 minutes of work. At the end of the year, 10 minutes of work. It really becomes a very outsourced solution. For those that have a plan, you know what I'm talking about. It takes 50 to 100 hours a year at least to run a retirement plan. The key point to remember is we're the fiduciary on the plan. So if something goes wrong, right, we're responsible for timely deposits. We're responsible for providing a diverse investment lineup. We're responsible to make sure the fees are low cost for the participants as possible. So we're 100% on the hook for that, not you as the business owner. So what's the advantage of joining the SOCA PEP versus having a standalone plan? If you have a current plan, we can do a cost comparison for you. And we can say with utmost confidence that you will save at least 30 to 40% for the participants and the plan sponsors. How are we going to do that? Well, number one, our administrative costs are a lot less than what you can get in a standalone plan. Okay. But number two, and most importantly, is the participants. The participants are getting access to a very low cost fund lineup. So if you have a small plan, less than $5 million, less than 50 employees, you know what it is in terms of your total costs, especially running the investments. Mutual funds in the small business plans typically have an expense ratio of 1% to 1.5%. That 1 to 1.5% comes right off the returns of the mutual funds. So for example, if I'm in a mutual fund and I earn 10% on that mutual fund a year, the mutual fund actually yielded 11 to 11.5%. My portion was only 10 because the other expenses are what the portfolio manager charges to run the mutual fund. In the pooled employer plan arrangement with SOCA, the expenses are less than 1/4%. So you're saving 75% off of the expense ratio of the funds just from the start. So when you're a participant in this plan, it's a lot more efficient for you, and your chances for growth and returns are higher. Number two, you're reducing almost 100% of your fiduciary liability. I talked a little bit about this before. For those that don't know, if you're a plan sponsor and you offer a 401k plan, you are the named fiduciary. If something goes wrong with that plan, if there's late deposits, if a participant decides to file a complaint with the Department of Labor, if you get an audit from the Department of Labor and there's fines involved, you are personally responsible as the fiduciary on the plan. And not only is it your business is responsible and at risk, your personal assets are at risk. When you are a fiduciary sponsoring a plan, you are putting your personal assets up against the fiduciary liability of that plan. In this type of arrangement, that does not exist. As I said earlier, Newport is the named fiduciary on this plan. So you do not have that responsibility any longer. That's a big step, a very major step when you talk about risk mitigation. And I talked about this on a previous slide, but the work involved in administering a plan is about 75% less than it would be in a standalone plan. So for those that have a plan, this is a big change for you. Less work, less liability, very little liability, and you're going to save 30 to 40% and possibly more off of your costs. I would love to do a cost comparison for you and show you exactly what you're paying versus what the all-in costs would be here. 30 to 40% is a conservative estimate that my compliance department would only approve put on a slide. Most of the time it's the 60 to 70% range. It's very rare that we're less than 50% cost savings coming into this type of an arrangement. If you do not currently have a plan, what are the benefits or the solution that this provides? Number one, it completes your benefits offering to your employees. Most people think of what benefit package do you have. They think of healthcare costs, maybe an HSA account, maybe workers' comp. What they don't think of is the 401k benefit. This is a major, major benefit that you can offer your employees. Like I said earlier, there's less than half of the small businesses offer a retirement plan to their employees. So when you're out there competing for some candidate that's interviewing with 3 or 4 companies, you can rest assured that only half those companies offer a retirement plan. You should be one of them. It would help you get that employee. And of course, as you remember the very first slide I showed, the matching benefit being a big, big reason why, or big thing that employees want in a plan. If you can offer a retirement plan with an employer match or some type of employer contribution, you're going to offer a very premier benefit that others do not offer. It is a very significant thing. If you do decide to start a plan, you and I will have a conversation about plan provisions. We'll walk through all the different provisions, and I will guide you or consult with you on what type of provisions I typically see, what type of our best practice. I'll give you percentages. So you're going to be very educated when you're making decisions of what you want to offer in your plan. You can also, by offering a plan, if you don't today, one of the hidden gems of this is allows participants to retire at a normal retirement age. Why is that significant? Well, if you have employees that stay around till they're past 65 and into their 70s, you understand what kind of cost is involved when it comes to healthcare costs. So by allowing these participants to retire at a normal retirement age, it gets them off the payroll, which gets them off your health benefits and the cost for health benefits. So again, if they have retirement savings, they can do this. If they don't have retirement savings, that's when you have your employee base work till they're 70 and 75, and again, increases your cost as a company from a productivity standpoint, from a health benefit standpoint. And the other thing that I didn't talk about yet is the compensation standpoint. If you're offering merit increases, you're just offering bonuses, typically the older employees are having the higher level compensation packages. This would allow you to help run your business a little bit better and more efficient by allowing those participants to retire at a normal retirement age. You are giving your participants access to a very high level premium retirement offering. What do I mean by that? We talked earlier about this. The funds that are available in the pool employer plan are the same funds that are available in Apple's plan and in Walmart's plan. You can't get that if you're a standalone plan. Okay, so it allows your participants to have a robust, very, very easy to use website that allows them to do some modeling for retirement. They can also have access to financial wellness tools, including questionnaires, including resources, and not just for 401k, for health benefits, for education savings, for debt and credit card management, how to budget. All that is on that website free of charge. And then, of course, like I said, the investments are low cost. So you're giving your participants a very premium retirement offering that really is only reserved for your Fortune 500 companies. Everybody has access to it in a pooled employer plan because we're rolling it up into this. And then again, if you don't have a plan, you have the tax credits we talked about earlier. So this type of plan has been around since January of 2021. So only about 18 months. So it's a very new phenomenon in our marketplace. There's been over 6,000 companies that have adopted into the pooled employer plan arrangement. It is well over $1.5 billion worth of retirement savings in this type of arrangement already. So we have proof of concept. Everybody knows this works. The estimate from every industry expert says that at least 75% of all retirement plans that exist are going to be in a pooled employer plan in the next 5 years. So again, it's something that everybody's gravitating to for the reasons I discussed. It's certainly something that I think you need to consider if you want to start a plan or if you currently have a plan. So what are the next steps? Next steps simply are reach out to me or your account executive at ARC. I can walk you through any questions or comments. More than happy to set up a consultation free of charge. I can do a cost comparison free of charge. I'm more than happy to do that as well. I'm here to help. I certainly have done enough of these to know exactly what employers are looking for and how to help your employee base and what to offer in the plan to make it attractive for employees to save for retirement. So with that, I'm going to stop. I'm going to see if there's any questions I can answer, just general or otherwise. More than happy to answer. So let's open it up.
Hi, Dale. This is Kim. So far, we don't have any questions or chat comments from the folks. If you want to throw one in there, we'll stay on for a few more minutes. Otherwise, this concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for coming.
I do get one question very often. Maybe people are shy today. So one question I do get is if you don't have a plan, how long does it take to set up a plan and when the best time to set up a plan?
Yeah.
So typically it takes about 45 days to get off the ground from when we actually make all the kind of conversations and figure out what type of provisions we want. It takes about 45 days to set up the first deposit. Really setting up any time of year is a good time of year. Everything will be retroactive to January 1st of that year. So if somebody set up a plan, let's say in August, we would actually make the plan effective 1/1 of this year, which allows participants to max out their contributions for the year. So they don't have to figure out, okay, I've only been along for half a year or a quarter of the year, I can only put in so much. We always make it retroactive for any participant to be able to contribute the maximum amount. So it usually takes about 45 days to set up. If you currently have a plan, it usually takes about 90 days to convert it over from the current provider over to us. So from a timing perspective, I would say the busiest time of year by far is as you get closer to January 1st. So open enrollment season for health benefits, also the busiest season for 401k plans. So now's a great time to at least take a look at this and do some due diligence on if this is something that fits your company, because we're in the late summer or mid summer, I guess now, but it'll be late summer soon enough when we convert the plan.
So we did get one question. One of our customers has asked, first of all, she said, thank you very much for the information and you did a
Sure.
nice presentation. Did you say there'll be slides available of this presentation? Are you able to share this with us, or do you want us to use the marketing materials you've already given us?
I'm going to actually share the PowerPoint presentation with your folks at ARC. So I will have the relationship manager, you should contact the relationship manager. They'll have the slides available. They are available for public. Yep, absolutely.
Great. All right. And I think that's it for our questions. And thank you again for attending. And Dale, thank you so much for your presentation. It was really great information.
Absolutely. You guys enjoy the rest of your day and week. And if you have any questions you want to take offline, you have my contact information, or reach out to your ARC representative, and they're more than happy to connect us. I appreciate everybody's attention. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye now.